Welcome back to Orange Peelers. The season is over and it's time for the season review.
Yeah.
We have attempted to do one of these in the past, but unfortunately last year the laptop crashed and we didn't have a studio and people kept interrupting. It was just a mess, so we just didn't bother pursuing with it. But however, this year, no distractions.
Yeah.
Good laptop.
Hopefully. Let's not jinx it.
Hopefully nothing goes wrong.
Let's
Hopefully
not
the
jinx
camera
it.
stays on as well.
Yeah.
That's the other thing we'll worry about. But
Well, last year we didn't even, literally.
yeah,
So,
last year we didn't have a camera.
so we didn't do a
either,
season
that's-
review last year. We had no camera. We lost our studio that we
in
were
a
recording
public
out of last year.
study room.
Yeah.
Someone's
then-
actually messaged me about this, about what happened to the old
Yeah.
studio. So, I mean, Winston would know more, but the studio we used to have was more of like a private sort of study room that you could book, but then they changed the rules and just opened it up to be a
Pretty
public,
much. So I go to uni. So we've revealed before that the Orange Peeler studio is somewhere in the Illawarra region.
Yes.
The old studio was at UOW because I study Wollongong, and at UOW there was this room that you could book. It was a private room. You know, the doors closed. It was a nice room.
They didn't lock though.
They didn't.
We
The
know
doors
that.
didn't lock. The doors did not lock. However, they did close, and the doors didn't lock because people walked in sometimes. But it was like a private room where you booked it for a certain time. Then we went in, we recorded our podcast, and we left. And then, literally, I think after the grand final, around that time, they decided to turn the private room into a
Just
public.
in time as well, actually.
Yeah.
You know,
Literally.
great timing.
And they what did they tell me it was called? They called it like a public engagement space or something like that. Something dumb. And they literally tore down this wall that made the room a room. And the room just isn't
I mean,
there
we
anymore.
probably could have tried to still do it there, but it just would not work.
It was a very public. It became a public space.
You know, there was just like families around as well.
Yeah,
It's just,
correct.
yeah.
It was very much people
We're
there
in a
all
new
the
private
time.
studio as well now.
Yeah.
And I think people want me to give a tour of this room, but I don't think I should. It's very different outside this proximity. I'll tell you that.
I will tell you. I'm just looking around now.
Yeah.
We do have some pretty expensive equipment in here. I'm looking at a boat right now. Obviously, it's the off season. We're looking at going on a cruise soon on the little dinghy that's in the studio. It's a pretty fancy studio. There is a boat in here. Not really
There's
anything
a lot
else crazy.
outside of your camera view. It looks a lot different than probably what it does.
I should probably stop explaining what's in this room in case somebody wants to break into.
Which won't
I
happen.
suppose.
But
Hey, never say never.
anyway, we're reviewing every team.
And last
All
year,
17.
on the topic of what we did last year, we did get through the Tigers last year,
but-
and then
and
the
the
laptop
Dragons. We did
crashed
the
and we lost
Dragons
the
as
audio.
well.
So we ironically are starting with the Tigers again this year because they came last again.
And we're doing the bottom 9 in this part.
Yes.
So the rubbish teams that no one cares about. So
Good pre-facing. That's a good point. If you're a Bulldogs fan, come back next week
you're
because
not
we're
part
top
of
8.
this for the first time in a while.
Yeah, for the first time in 8 years.
And this will not be a 6-hour podcast like Bloke in the Bars, so you don't really need to brace yourself with a blanket and some food and get ready.
Don't worry about making yourself a coffee or anything.
I assume this is probably going to be roughly an hour.
I think that's a good goal to set. What is it? 9 teams.
Yeah.
About 9 times, anywhere from
5 to
easily
10
under
minutes,
90
I'd say.
minutes. Yeah,
Yeah.
5 to 10 each. Maybe the teams we don't care about, they'll get a minute.
Well, it's not we don't care about them, but
I don't care
they're
about
just
them.
sort of just.
I think maybe because Souths are in the bottom 9, so maybe we aim for 2 to 3 minutes for each, and then you can have a good 30 to 40 minutes.
I
on
don't
the
know
South
if I
Sydney
need that
Rabbitohs.
much, but I wouldn't mind it. But
What did they come? Second
they came
last.
second last.
Alright,
Yeah.
so we'll
They
get to
didn't
them
come last,
soon,
though,
and we'll
as
see
everyone
where
knows.
we're sitting.
But
Somebody time it.
the Tigers.
Yes, let's talk Tigers. It was their 25th anniversary this year. That didn't motivate them at all. As I said, third wooden spoon. They came 17th. I do have a couple of stats in front of me. I'm not going to read them all, but I will say they won 6 games and they lost 18. And yeah, they came 17th.
I must say they were a lot better than what they were last year.
I agree.
Yeah.
Not on the ladder, obviously, but
in terms of the way they-
vibe, I think there was improvement. And I feel like looking forward to next year, there's a clear path to improve.
Did you know all the Tigers wins this year were like back to back? They won 2 in a row, then they'd lose a bunch, won another 2 in a row, then lose a bunch.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They only won in pairs. That is, there you go. So a weird season from the Tigers.
It was, but they did have a bad games here and there. There was a really bad one against the Dragons in Wollongong. There was a bad one against the Sharks. What was it, 60-6, something like that, 58-6.
After they beat the Sharks earlier in the
I
year.
think they got flogged by someone else. I think Broncos put a score past them at one point.
To be fair, they didn't get flogged as much as in previous
Like,
years.
a lot of their games, like I said it during the year, they were in most of their games. Like they were in the fight, they just couldn't get it done.
Yeah.
But the main talking point from their season, I think, is Lachlan Gowden.
Yep. Who would you say best player from the Tigers this year? Because I think
probably
so.
would, yeah.
Either him or Appy.
Yeah, Appy. But yeah, I'd say Lachlan Galvin.
Definitely,
he should have won Rookie of the Year. Let's face that. He was the best rookie of the season. But, with the rules, I guess, fair enough. But, I feel like a lot of the games that they did win were off the back of him. So he wasn't playing. I don't know. It could have looked a lot worse for him, honestly.
Yeah, I agree. And I just think of like that Para game.
Yeah, and the Sharks game.
The Sharks game.
The Manly one. He dominated.
Yeah. So, I feel like a very, very good season from Lockie Gavin. He's definitely the story out of the Tigers. And obviously the story heading into next season is Lua coming. And all the...
Taruva.
But all the talk is sort of like Lua being paired with Galvin. Where if you rewind 12 months ago, when we're trying to record the Tigers season preview and it's failing, we're not even talking about Lockie Galvin. We haven't even heard of Lockie Galvin. So the fact that he's come into this side... And there was a lot of questions around the Tigers halves at the start of the year. They had Caesar, they had Bud Sullivan, they had, who else? They had Fainu come in or Fainu. And I feel there was someone else as well. And there was a lot of question marks of who is going to be the halves. And it ended up being Lachlan Galvin.
Yeah.
And I think it was...
Adam Dewey would have been that.
And Adam Dewey as well, once fit. And so I feel like the fact that they're going into next season with some stability in the halves is a huge plus for them.
Yeah, they're on the up, the Tigers. For the first time in a while, they look like they're finally on the up. And I think they just got to stay patient.
Do you think we should grade each team?
That's just... I've already done a grading video on TikTok, but I can do it again.
Well, I think each team will give them a grade from, I guess, any letter of the alphabet.
And it's not necessarily on how they finished. It's more, did they improve from last year? Did they
expectations
get worse?
and that sort of
thing.
thing.
Work at school if you improve.
Yeah.
So I gave them a D.
You gave them a D?
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like that. Like they, at the end of the day, they improved a little bit, but they did come last. I don't think it's. I think a D is fair.
Yeah.
I'm going to go a D
minus
as well.
Maybe.
I would just go a D.
I'd stick with probably
a big D.
I think that's what I gave them. So
yeah, I think that's fair. Anything else on the Tigers?
But
what was the highlight of their season?
The highlight was their win against the Sharks. I think, and then also, what Easter? No, not Easter. What was that round? Was it? No, it was Easter Monday. That's what I'm
Easter
thinking.
Monday.
They play a lot of games. And that was definitely their most entertaining game of the year. I think. Remember, they also did have some scrappy wins. There was that terrible game against the Titans at Leichhardt.
Yeah.
Probably go down the worst game of the season. Oh, actually, no. I'd take that back. The game against South at Campbelltown. That probably takes the cake for the worst game of the season.
Even the spoon bowl wasn't that great.
Oh, yeah.
There was a lot of points.
That's the other thumping I was thinking of. The spoon bowl.
Because they ended up conceding 60, didn't they?
That was just... everyone...
Yeah.
There was points during the season where we had such high hopes for the Tigers. We're like, oh, they're looking good now. And then they just would get flogged. And we're just like, well, how'd that go?
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, early in the season, we didn't tip them for the spoon.
Yeah, and they looked good early. They showed a lot of fight in some of those early games. But as the year just went on, I think they just realised, maybe next year. I
think eventually you just got to accept they are the Tigers and they suck. And maybe they're always going to suck.
They've never played finals since I've been interested in rugby league. They've always just...
do you reckon there's ever going to be a day where they just don't suck anymore? Or are they going to suck forever?
I think every team will have their good year at some point.
Except for the Eels.
No, hopefully not. But
they haven't won since
1986. I'm 19 years old. I've probably still had, hopefully, 60 years to live, I'm assuming.
At least. Come on, give yourself some. Mate, modern 70, technology.
70, 80 years.
I'll back you into 90.
Okay.
Modern technology.
Yeah, but, I'm sure all 17 clubs that exist right now will win a comp in that time. You'd hope, at least.
Not Eels. Not Eels.
You'd hope.
It's actually weird, though, because, respectfully to a team like that, you look at them and you just go, I can't see you winning a grand final anytime soon. But I'm sure. But, surely, eventually.
You'd have to think.
Historically.
20 years ago, Souths were just down and out. I know they were bad this year, which brings us into Souths very soon. But
22 years ago, Souths weren't even in the comp.
Yes.
And then they did end up winning a comp. So it is possible.
If you told me 5 years ago South would have finished 16th in 2023, I would have called you crazy. And I know no one probably could have guessed that because no one knows what the ladder's going to look like in 5 years from now. So that was a stupid point for me to make then.
Yeah, all right. Do you want to talk South Sydney?
Shall we?
Or is there anything else to say about the mighty Tigers?
I think these are going to be quicker than what I think.
That's all right, but that's all right.
The Tigers are done and dusted. Wooden spoon, third in a row.
D.
D. However, aside... My team, the Rabbitohs, are next, who finished in second last. 7 wins and 17 losses.
Yep.
And one period of the season where they won 5 in a row.
When was that? Late?
In the middle part of the year.
Yeah. They won 5 in 6 weeks. Oh no,
5 in a row.
6 in 7 weeks.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Plus a scrappy win.
So
earlier in the year.
South, obviously, they came 16th. They won 7 games. They lost 17. They went from 9th last year to 16th. And obviously, Zane, it's no secret, you're a Bunnies fan.
You want me to grade them now?
No, grade them at the end.
Yeah,
We'll talk about them, and then we'll grade them. But just tell me your deep feelings. Let's treat it like therapy.
So I'm going to go through like the season outline. So the first game in Vegas, we were on top in that game at one point, but we lost it in the end. And I wasn't too concerned after that. I was just like, oh, well, like whatever, maybe next week.
Yeah.
The Broncos game, it was bad, that game. Like the scoreline, I think is misleading. I think Broncos should have won that by a lot more.
And Broncos sucked this year.
Round 3, Lachlan Ilias is dropped. We lose to the Roosters 48-6. And even by that point, I'm like, I look back at 2022. We started our season 3-1.
Mm-hmm.
And then we beat the Bulldogs next week. And I'm like, okay, this should be the starting point. However, when I started to realise this was not going to be a good year was the week after when we played the Warriors.
Yeah, that game was concerning.
That's when after that game, I was like, yeah, this isn't going to be a good year. We're not turning around from here.
So 5 weeks it took you to just throw it away.
I just wasn't ready to call it. Even after that Roosters game, I'm like, on these plays we've got can turn it around.
Yeah.
So, but after that Warriors game, Trell got suspended. Demetrio was just under the pump. It was just an awful game.
When did he get sacked?
We'll get there. He got sacked after.
Yeah. Keep going.
We beat we lose to the Sharks. Why did I say beat? That much. We lose to the Sharks, but Demetrio was supposed to be gone that game. But apparently South showed enough fight in that game to do his job.
Enough fight. They lost 34-22.
We had a bye, I think, and then we got thrashed by Melbourne, which was to be expected, and then Demetrio went, and then the Ben Hornby era began.
Yep.
With a big loss to the Panthers, which Ben Hornby thought was a statement that was made, but then I think what happened after that?
It was such a meme of a year for South Sydney. Yeah. They say, our coach.
Made a statement.
No, so let's rewind it a little bit. I just want to give my take on this. So. And it's just like, you look back on it and it's just so dumb. So they play. So after 4 weeks, for example, after 4 weeks, Souths are 1-3. The Bulldogs were also 1-3 after 4 weeks.
They were too, actually, weren't
they? Were in the and Souths had just beat the Bulldogs. So you could say Souths in a better spot than the Bulldogs.
Yeah,
and then it just they play this, because I remember all the rumors were like, Demetrio, they're playing for their coach. Like, if they lose this game, he's sacked. They lose the game. And they showed fight. We'll keep him around.
That's the one that I found
heading
strange,
into a bye. Like, if you're ever going to sack your coach, do it into a bye. They wait a week, then go down to Storm, and obviously they got thrashed. They lost 54-20.
But I don't think the club would have been like, oh, we're not winning this.
Fair.
I'm sure they would have had the attitude.
And then that's when they sack him. That's when they sack him, leading into a game against the defending 3-peat premiers. And then after being pumped
we're up 12-0 in that game as well in 10 minutes, by the way.
And then after being pumped by the premiers, your coach comes out and says it was a statement. That's just... That's when I knew that it was not going to be a good year for South Sydney.
I think by that point,
maybe a bit earlier.
I mean, that was Ben Hornby's first game, and the thing with Ben Hornby, I like the guy, but I think he's an assistant coach, and I think he just is happy.
Bit of Trent Barrett about him.
No, I just think I don't think he's got much ambition to be a head coach. I just think he's happy just being
far out after a year coaching South Sydney like that. I wouldn't have much ambition either.
I think Ben Hornby did well.
He did. He did.
Because we get to this next period.
Would you give him interim coach of the year?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because Trent Barrett had a pretty good run with Eels. Who else was there for interim coach of the year?
How many interim coaches have won 5 games in a row?
How did we not give interim coach of the year at the Orange Peelers medal? Did we?
Yeah,
and you gave it to Jason.
No, yeah.
Who were the other options?
We didn't give it to Jason.
Trent Barrett?
No, Ben Hornby.
Sorry, not Jason. He got sacked. Sorry, Ben Hornby, Trent Barrett. Was there any others?
No, that was it.
Oh, well, no wonder he won it. It's not hard to win over Trent Barrett.
He won 5 in a row. How many interim coaches have done that?
I couldn't tell you, unfortunately.
We had that bad loss to the Dragons in the rain. Magic round, we got also close, but then...
That Magic round game, you did come close.
I don't know what happened. It just clicked. We flogged the Eagles. We beat the Broncos in that was a terrible game from the Broncos, I must say. Who did we beat after that? We beat someone.
Manly.
We beat, that was it.
You beat Titans before the Broncos.
Yes, the Titans win. Now, that one was a thumping as well.
Yeah, it was.
We looked outstanding that game. And I'm like, where has this been all year?
Yeah.
That period, I got such hope that we could go on a run.
I remember.
Well, I think...
I hosted a podcast with you every week.
Yeah, well, we get to that Eels game in round...
18.
That point, Souths were looking really good.
Yeah.
And I think you know that as well. They really
were
turned
coming.
the corner. They were looking good.
It was look over your shoulder,
and
we're
then,
coming sort of
as
stuff.
per usual, when South start to go on a run, Latrell gets hurt, which it's just what happened. We lose to the Dolphins in what was a game that really annoys me because we should have won that.
Mm-hmm.
We could kick our goals.
Yep.
Beat the Tigers, and then we lost for the rest of the year.
Yep.
So South, all their wins came in one period.
Yeah.
That's my concern. Like they just, they weren't consistent.
Yeah. Outside
at all,
of the 6 wins in 7 weeks, outside of that, you won 1 game.
which is against the Bulldogs.
Yeah, on Good Friday under Jared Sutton, which basically doesn't count because obviously you're going to win under Jared Sutton on Good Friday. So that doesn't even count as a win. So you did not win a game outside of the 7-week period in the middle, pretty much.
Yes, but that's just a season to forget.
What would you say?
Wayne Bennett returning next year, that's given me a lot of hope, actually. Just the way it's all panned out so far, though. Latrell, have you seen him recently?
Bro,
At the knockout?
you know for a fact that I'm not a big Latrell Mitchell fan.
He looks
He
fit.
looks so fit. And
I
this
don't
is
know
after, a couple weeks?
Yeah.
A month or two that they've been eliminated because they went in finals. But the grand final this was of the weekend of the grand final. He was looking so fit.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is before preseason.
He had a meeting with Wayne Bennett right after our final game.
Bro, what was the meeting on? A treadmill?
I don't know. Like, he said, he got his, probably gave him his magic drink. If anyone remembers that reference.
Yeah. Usually Gus Gould, if he's having a meeting with a player, it's at Chinese. I think Wayne Bennett's taken Latrell to a salad bar or something.
He just so far looks...
This is
pre-season. Pre-season, he looks the fittest he's ever looked.
But the thing with Latrell Mitchell looking fit is it's before the pre-season. Wait till he's in pre-season. He might be looking really fit.
The thing is, when Latrell played this year, South did look very good. Like, it was that end of the season period. Where
very good's a bit of a...
They did look very good.
Very good.
That was that Titans
Maybe
game they
good.
dominated. The Eels game they dominated. I know
Listen to you who you're dominating, the Titans and Eels.
Broncos, we dominated. Manly,
they suck.
Played finals.
I don't remember Manly. I don't remember Manly in the finals. I don't remember them in the finals. I've blocked that out of my memory.
What Troll did in those games, though, in terms of try assists and stuff.
What else did Latrell do this year? Anything?
No, he played Origin.
Anything special? Anything else?
Got suspended for the Sean Johnson thing, but we don't need that.
What else did he get suspended? Oh, that was a voice crack. What else did he get suspended for?
Yeah, there was
anything else?
Incident at the end of the year, but
yeah, that's right. In Dubbo.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we won't go into that though. That's just that's been sorted now.
What is Zane? What was it's a big question. What was your best or favourite moment of the year?
My favourite win was the Eels one at Combank, but I think our best win has to be the Titans one.
Yep.
Like 46-12. That's a team who came 16th. Like, you don't see a team that finished the second last win like that much, do you?
Yeah, that's true.
And the worst loss.
Yep.
The most frustrating one I was at was the one when we lost to the Tigers, but I think the worst loss has to be the Roosters one.
Yeah.
Round 3, to our out.
That you left that one early.
I didn't leave early.
Yeah, you did to get to the train.
No, I was still in the stadium by the time the siren went. I was in what's that area called? Behind the seat.
The concourse.
Yeah, the concourse. I was in there.
Yeah.
The siren hadn't gone by
Zane left early.
By the time. No, I did not leave early. So, but yeah, that has to be our worst. But
yep.
Player of the year, I think. Jeez, hard choice here. I'm gonna say. Cameron Murray didn't play. I'll say Keon Kalamatangi. I thought.
That's actually a very fair shout. If I had to pick a player of the year from South, I'd give it to either Murray or Keon.
Jack White had a good year as well.
Moved into the halves. I'm gonna give it to Murray.
Yeah,
and that's it's definitely out of those two. I feel like Murray, every time he did play, there were games where he was the only one having a crack.
But you see him after press conferences, he just looked devastated some games.
But Keon does deserve a lot of credit as well. I thought he had a great year.
He had I shouldn't say breakout year, but
I'd almost go as far to say breakout year.
One of his best seasons.
Especially when he sort of showed his versatility in the forwards as well. Yeah. He had a good stint at lock. He put up some great numbers at lock. And I thought overall he had a pretty good year.
Overall, with what people expected South to do after how badly they ended last year, I think it's an F I'm giving them. It's been a complete failure of a season. No one at the club would disagree. It's just been terrible. I don't know what more I can say. I had them finishing third. Mm-hmm. I probably did have them winning the comp actually, just because I'm that type of guy. But
yeah, you very much did have them winning the comp. Third, you did.
Where do you think you had them?
I had them top 4.
Yeah,
but I didn't have them winning the comp.
Yeah,
because I had the Bulldogs winning the comp. I'm giving him an F. Yeah, it was a foul of the season.
Complete failure of the year.
Complete foul.
Hopefully that's a turning point for next year. But
I think out of every team this year, easily most disappointing for me. Yeah. Souths. It was just it's an F minus.
Yeah. Like,
that's
just dreadful. Like, I do not know what went wrong this year. Just what at all. Like, I think I've sort of figured it out now, but
Jason,
it's only the way.
Is that where you're pinpointing it?
Oh, I remember Lachlan Ilias was the issue at the club, but he played 2 games and they didn't improve when he got dropped. So he clearly wasn't the issue at the club, was he?
Yeah, justice for Lockie.
Yeah,
that's what I reckon.
Yeah, he's going to redeem himself next year.
I reckon he might.
You watch him come back like round 2, round 3, and like kick 240-20, set up 3 tries, have a blinder.
Don't sleep on Lockie Ilias.
Well, I just mean the way he came in the first grade though, he's really hindered him. Taken over after Adam Reynolds. If he came in similar to like how Galvin has, I think people would praise him.
I think there's a lot of potential
there. Is, but have you heard?
I think he's very hard done by.
He might be playing hooker next year.
I hope not.
Utility is what they've.
I hope not. Because I'd be going him and Cody Walker. Under Bennett, give him a crack.
You know, with Wayne Bennett, he always gets the best out of his halves.
Yep.
That's what he's known for. Like, you look back at prime Wayne Bennett teams, the halves are always the best players. You look at Dragons, Jamie Soward, Ben Hornby.
Yep.
Look back at the Knights, Kurt Gidley and Jared Mullen.
Yeah.
Like Broncos, Milford played his best footy.
Yeah.
Hunt played his best footy.
Yeah.
Adam Reynolds, Cody Walker played their best footy under Bennett.
Yep.
So just something you notice with Wayne Bennett's side, it's always the halves that have.
Yeah.
You look at Cody Nicarima this year.
Yep.
Like,
even Katoa.
Yeah. Like, I do reckon they're going to have those sort of seasons next year. I don't think they will.
I don't think they will either.
But it's just, I feel like Lachlan Ilias deserves another chance.
Yeah, I agree. Justice for Lockie. All right, so we'll move on to Parramatta. Well, they come 14th. What's the matter, Parramatta? Now, it is worth noting they're only in 14th because they won the Spoon Bowl. 15th.
Yeah.
They're in 15th because they won the Spoon Bowl. And I have a saying, Zane, and you're not going to appreciate this as a South fan, but I always say the Tigers don't count, so Eels second last and South last. Tigers don't count. The Eels 15th. They won 7 games and 17 losses. Same as Souths.
Yes.
But better for and against. Obviously, winning the Spoon Bowl by heaps helped. But yeah, not a great season from Parramatta. As we said earlier, Trent Barrett ended up as their coach. And as I said all year, Zane, after the sacking of Brad Arthur, I said Trent Barrett can't coach. I said they'd get the spoon at that point in time. And I was pretty bloody close.
We forgot to do some of our other 2 teams. We were gonna give like a brief early prediction of where they could improve to next year. I'll say now Tigers
alluded to
13th to 15th, I reckon, and South I think can finish anywhere between 4th and 12th.
Yep.
In a big range for South.
I'll go Tigers bottom 4
again,
but not last.
Yeah.
And for Souths, I'll say just outside the 8.
Just outside.
You know what?
I'm literally saying 4th to 12th for South.
I'd almost back them to make 4th to 10th. I think either just in it, maybe like 6th to 10th. Either just inside the 8 or just outside
it. They could finish anywhere. It's
very hard to predict.
But Parramatta though.
Parramatta.
I had them missing the 8. I didn't expect them to be this
I had them in the 8.
Did you? Yeah, you
I had them
in the 8.
You're high
on them as well.
I said they were smoking to win the comp.
Yeah.
And I was just completely wrong.
I had them missing the 8th. I had them like 9th or 10th, but I just didn't expect them to be this bad though.
I think they did have a little bit of an unfortunate season with Mitch Moses getting injured for a lot and Gutho, but like it's still it's still inexcusable. And some of the games they lost, like the Tigers won on Easter Monday,
it was
followed by the Raiders
one. They had a really bad loss. Yeah, Raiders Storm flogged them at Magic Round.
Yeah, that was
the
big one
that they should have won at the end of the year.
And obviously the Storm one, that's when Brad Arthur ended up getting sacked.
Gutho and Moses were both out in that game. So I found that sacking very harsh. Like, my thoughts on it.
And then to replace him with Trent Barrett.
Yeah, but I feel like it was their last-ditch attempt to get Wayne Bennett. That's exactly why they did, because South were looming to get him by that point, and they're just like, if we want him, this is our chance. So we're going to have to shoot now.
And then they didn't get him.
And they failed.
They
got
failed.
Jason Riles, which isn't a bad choice, but he was the second best in.
Oh, it was a failure of a year for Parramatta, realistically. Like, you didn't have him in the 8, but like, surely you had him pushing for the 8.
Like 9th or 10th.
Yeah, pushing for the 8. I had him in the 8. Like, I think the expectations were high, especially when your halfback is the origin halfback.
The thing that worried me pre-season was their hooker.
Yeah.
That's what I was most critical of.
And hey, to be fair, they still haven't worked out who their hooker is, so at least they sorted that out.
They've let Regan Campbell-Gillard go, which we'll probably talk about a bit soon with another team, but...
Yeah, and Gutho's leaving, their captain.
It's not, maybe he will.
He's being forced out. He's not even leaving.
He'll be going to the Dragons. Mark my words.
There you go.
He'll go to the
2025?
No, 26.
26. You get a last hurrah at the
It could be 25, but I feel like it will be 26.
Yeah, it's just...
Yeah.
The thing with the Eels that concern, and it doesn't concern me because I'm a Bulldogs fan. I love to see it, but like the fact that you look to next year and it doesn't look like there's going to be a huge improvement.
No.
Like it looks like they're almost entering a rebuild.
Like, I look at the whole bottom four. Tigers are seen improving. Souths, I think, improve, and I think the Titans improve.
Yep, I agree.
I'm just like they could. Like I think they got potential.
And
to,
like
but
Mitch Moses comes back into the side, but like they've lost Campbell Gillard, they've lost potentially Gutho.
I find them just to be so.
They do gain Lomax, but if they're gaining Lomax as a centre, he's not that good at centre. He's very good on the wing. And then is there going to be a huge thing where it's like, do they end up moving him to the wing? Is it like, okay, I don't see him playing as well as this year if he's at centre. So and isn't Sivo gone as well?
I think so.
Like they're losing that whole identity of the 2022 grand final. And it's just like, I don't know. It's just backwards.
I think they're going to have a few bad years, Parramatta.
Yeah, and you love to see it.
Well, yeah, the poor guys, like they've suffered a lot.
They have.
I think they've won the most wooden spoons in my time of watching league. 2012, 13, 18. Nearly this year, but
nearly they're in a spoon bowl. But yeah, it wasn't a good year for the Eels. What was their highlight of the year, do you think? If we're trying to find a positive.
It has to be winning the spoon bowl. I think that's their best win of the year. I'm trying to
you're right.
A few games early on in the year.
Yeah, you're right. Even like the round 1 win over the Bulldogs, like that was a very solid win to start the season. That was at home.
And I think it has to be beating the Tigers. I think.
Yeah,
at 66, wasn't it?
60-26.
Yeah,
and avoiding the spoon. So I'm actually gonna agree. I was gonna if they held on to the Dragons one and didn't let them back into the game, you could almost go that as well.
Oh,
but they did let them back into the game massively. So yeah, I'll go the spoon bowl. What was the lowest point? I think it's pretty obvious.
I'm gonna say the Dolphins game.
Really?
Yeah, I could say the Storm one.
I was going to say the Storm at Magic Round.
Yeah, Raiders game was bad. They had some real bad games there.
That was a bad one.
South put 40 past them a few times as well.
Did South beat them?
South beat them twice, yeah.
Far out. That's when you know you're bad. When South beat you twice and not ref by Jared.
It was all in our winning period, so we played them at the right time, I think.
Yeah, not good from the Eels. Who would you say the best player was?
I'm Guffo.
Guffo.
I was going to lean with Moses, but he was injured most of the year. It's got to be Guffo.
I'm going to give it to Moses.
Week after week, it was just... Yeah,
like he was out injured, sure, but like
why,
but I think, and if not Moses, I guess Gutho, but I'll give it to Moses.
They were the only ones who really gave it their all every week.
Blaze Talangi, the emergence of him was very promising.
I forgot about him actually.
To be fair, but he's gone now.
Yeah, that's Parramatta. Like Junior Paulo, I don't think had a very good year. Ruben Campbell-Gillard, I thought was underwhelming.
I thought he was all right.
Paulo.
No, Regan.
I thought he was okay, but it was underwhelming compared to other seasons.
Yeah, fair.
Look at someone like Sean Lane who killed it in 22. He's just been awful lately.
Yeah, even like Hopgood, like it was just a very backwards year for the Eels. What would you grade it?
I mean, I could say an F, but I'm saying an F because I did expect better from him.
Do we give E's A B C D E F?
We could do.
Or do we just go A B C D F?
We can do E's, but I'm giving him an F.
You're going to give him an F?
I just think you expected better of him.
It was. I'm going to go,
playing our grand final
because of the Moses injury, I'm going to give him an E minus.
Fair enough.
But otherwise...
This is a side that played in the grand final 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So to fall off this badly so quickly is very concerning.
It is... And as we said, like looking to next year, I don't see much improvement. Where do you see him going to next year?
I'm saying like 12th to 17th.
12 to 17
area, bottom 5, bottom 6. I think there is a world where they could push for the 8, in my opinion. Like, I feel like if things go their way, players stay on the field. I can definitely see a world where they finished 8th, 9th, 10th.
Yeah.
Realistically, I just don't know.
I think
Campbell Gillard's a big loss for him.
I think Moses coming back in, surely they improve. But then you look at the losses, and like I said, like Lomax does come in as well, but at centre. Well. But I think if they do lose Gutho, they've lost Regan Campbell Gillard. They still don't have their hooker sorted. And if Moses does get injured again, it's one of the things where it's like I don't see improvement. I'm going to say bottom 4, and it's especially with other teams improving around them. Like as you said earlier, Tigers probably improve, Titans probably improve, Souths probably improve, and it's just like.
No,
I'm not saying spoon.
I'm not saying a spoon. I don't think they will.
Not spoon, but I think bottom 4.
I cannot see them getting a spoon with that team.
No way. Not with Moses.
Yeah.
It's almost like the Dragons. We go, well, Ben Hunt says so they won't get the spoon.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But yeah, well, let's go to
Who's
the
next?
mighty Gold Coast Titans.
Yes, another year of disappointment and letdown. A side that for years I give them such hope to have a good year.
You were very high on them.
I'm just like, I was last year. I have been for a few years. Like, I'm just like, they got a great coach coming in. They got a great forward pack, great back line, and then they just disappoint.
Did you have them in the 8?
I had them 9th or 10th around where I had Parramatta, just missing out.
Well, they came 14th last year, Zane, and guess what they came this year?
14th again.
Yeah,
the year before that, they finished 13th, which was fourth last. So the last 3 years, they finished fourth last.
So bottom 4 the last 3 years, and they actually went backwards in the sense that they won 8 games and lost 16. Last year, they won 9. So they had one less year.
My thing with them is
sorry, quickly, they also leaked more points this year compared to last year, even under Des Hasler.
I know, Tino was out for the whole year,
and that's worth noting.
I can give him that.
Yeah,
but
that is worth noting.
The thing with the Titans is that they can have a really good game. They put 40 past the side and they look good, and then the next week they lose by 40. And that's just, they definitely improved as the year went on.
Yeah.
But, I look back, there was just such a weird year from them.
Yeah.
Such a weird, inconsistent year. But there was standouts, I think. Keanu Kenny.
Yep, definitely.
And that's just the Des Hasler fullback effect, I think.
Yeah, 100%.
Even though they've got about 50 fullbacks at the club.
They almost have 50 too many. Like the fact that to end the season, that AJ Brimson coming off the bench and playing 5 minutes at hooker. And AJ Brimson's an origin fullback.
Yeah. But, you look, I forgot what I was going to say. The Dave Fafita drama at one point as well. He was going to the Roosters and then...
He signed.
He signed and back. That was weird as well. It's just,
Yeah.
I do still think Des Hasler's going to work there. I think towards the back end of the year, they were starting to buy into him. They went from a completely opposite coach from Des Hasler to Des Hasler.
Yeah.
Des Hasler's a very unique sort of coach, isn't he?
He is.
As a dog. So they got their captain back. I think, some of those young guys got another year under their belt. They could improve next year, but we've got to talk about their season this year. I think their highlight has to be, this is what I mean, they won 66-6.
Yeah.
Against the Warriors.
Easily the highlight of the year for them.
And then their worst loss, this is the Dragons game.
Yeah.
There was the Sharks game where they lost 44-0.
Oh, that's what I was
The
going
week
to
before,
say.
they won 46-18.
Against the Broncos, when they were playing for their season.
They lose the Souths 46-12, and then they win 66-6 next week. So that's just the Titans for you. I'll just do that. But I think their worst loss has to be that Sharks one.
I think the Sharks one, especially...
Or the Roosters one was bad,
I feel like heading into that Sharks one, I don't think Titans were favourites, but it was a game where you're like, Titans are a big chance to win this game. Like, I remember I tipped them.
Yeah, because they had that really good game against the Broncos. And they were outstanding.
And that was before the Broncos sucked.
No.
Well, about where they started to suck.
Yeah, but they were outstanding in that game. And I think people were like, they could make it, because they were still in chance for the finals by that point. I remember I said to you, I'm like, they could do it, and they lose 44-0. And it's just,
yeah, I think that really sums up their season.
But they also did beat the Sharks this year.
Yeah, they did. So it's a very, very weird season. As we said, Tino got injured literally round 3, which doesn't help. The captain. Who have they signed for next year?
Campbell Gillard.
That's right. I knew they'd signed a forward.
Potential Ben Hunt, but that's not... there's a chance he could go there, I think.
Yeah.
Who else have they signed, actually? I think it's just...
That's pretty much it. Carter Gordon.
Yeah,
that's pretty much it.
Their marquee one's Campbell Gillard, which I don't like. I don't really think that's a needed signing for them.
I think it is.
They got Tino, they got Fafita, they got Fermor. They got a really good forward pack.
But those are back rowers.
Yeah, but Fafita. Who played prop for him this year?
Is it Famasuli? Who am I?
Mo Fodawaker.
Fodawaker.
Another guy they had in.
Palacia?
I don't think Palacia played much. Who was that other prop they had?
I don't know.
They've let Aaron Clark go. I know that.
This is my point. They're like, it's another prop. It just adds to the rotation.
They got such an unbalanced team as well, I think. Like, they got too many players in one position that they've got to...
They have too many. It's just...
They got way too many fullbacks.
They need
all of those
sort
guys
that
are
out.
so talented as well.
The issue is, if you've got AJ Brimson coming off the bench and playing 5 minutes of hooker, the amount of money they're paying him and his extended long term, it throws the whole salary cap out of balance. That's the issue for me. Like, obviously you want to keep as many good players as you can, but you can't have Campbell, Brimson, and Keeney all in the same team. You just can't have that. Yeah. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to sign. Like, look at their wingers and centers.
Yeah.
Like, they have Brian Kelly as center.
Kelly, Philip Sammy. It's a good back line.
Yeah.
And I think it's their hit.
But I think they need upgrades in the back line.
I think
it's good, but it could be better.
What they needed to target was a halfback, an experience. They got Kieran Foran, yes, but I feel like having a halves combo of Foran and Hunt would work for a young squad.
Or even play Hunt at hooker.
Yeah, even that.
Yeah.
They had Chris Randall there for most of the year because Sam Verrill's had another injured sort of year. But
yeah, it is. It's a weird. It is an imbalanced roster.
My player of the year for him is Keanu Kinney.
Yep, same.
Yeah.
Has to be.
He was in.
Or
he
Campbell.
couldn't have been rookie of the year, could he? I think he played a few games.
Yeah, I think he's
before.
played too many.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't in the talk, and he should have been if he was eligible.
Yeah.
So I assume not. But he had a great season.
I just thought Des Hasler coming in should be a new era for him, but just didn't go as planned off.
The thing that confused me is like they literally conceded more points this year.
And
under
also they had a terrible start to the year. I think 0-6 they started as well.
Yeah.
So, they did definitely get better as the year went on.
Yeah,
But
they did start 0-6.
If I was to grade them, probably a D plus I'd do.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go as far as to say a C, but I wouldn't say an F either. Like, they did have some good moments.
I'm going to go... They stayed in the bottom 4.
They did.
I'm going to go a D. I'm just going to go a D.
Yeah.
I'm not going to grade them worse than the Tigers.
Then,
So
where
I'm
do
gonna
you
go
think
a
they
D.
could finish next year?
Part of me thinks, and this is going to sound crazy, because based off what we just went through, it just sounds stupid, but part of me can see them somehow just making the 8.
Same.
I don't know why.
I've got them.
But there's a part of me.
They got Tino back. This is the year. If they do not succeed, well, just show improvement, next year, I don't think they're ever going to work.
Yeah.
If they cannot do it under Des Hasler, I think this is their...
Just get out of the bottom 4.
Oh, they just need to show something instead of just having a year where they'll win by 41 where you can lose it by 40 the next. Like, I've got them like 8th to about 12th.
I've got them anywhere from 7th to last. Like, I just don't know. I just don't know.
I could see a world where they do like finish last, and it's just like But the Titans, they always have a year like every once in a while where they will fight for the 8 and scrape in. But
I did a way too early ladder prediction the other week, and I feel like I put them in the 8th.
So did I. I didn't have them in my 8th. I had them like.
I put them in
10th.
7th.
I had them in like 10th again. That's your early ladder prediction. Oh, okay.
But I can see where they make this huge run and get into the 8th, but at the same time, it's just I don't know.
Yeah, okay.
I made this 1st of October, so before the grand final.
I've got mine. I haven't really looked at the bottom. I've got my.
We're not revealing that, so no.
My very early top 8 though. I've got.
But yeah, we've got a D plus and a D for the Titans.
I just think just a typical Titans year, really.
Yeah, I don't know what to
so
expect
inconsistent.
next year.
Another disappointing team this year who had such high hopes going into the season, and it's the Wars.
Top 4 last year, Zane. They came 4th. It was up the Wars last year.
I could
huge
see
season.
this happening though.
13th, 9 wins, 1 draw, 14 losses.
I could see this happening, I can say, pre-season. I've said if there's going to be a side that drops off, it would be the Warriors. Because they just have never, over their history, been able to back up a good year.
Yeah. And I think I had them missing the 8 as well. And
I had them 8th on the dot.
Yeah.
Scraping in.
Well, I had them missing. And for me, it was just some of the signings were a bit confusing.
Yeah, and I was pressured into doing that. Because I knew if I didn't have them in the 8, there'd be an uproar on TikTok. So I just got pressured. I got pressured into putting them in there. So
I just feel like some of their signings for me, like Roger Tuivasa-Sheck. That was past his prime.
Like when they signed him, people were so excited, like, RTS. I'm like, is he really that necessary?
He's not the same.
And
then playing him at centre.
And he didn't do much this year, did he?
He didn't.
He just sort of floated by the entire year.
Yeah, he did. And that's where I was just like, I feel like the roster went backwards a little bit. Yeah. It didn't go forwards. The roster didn't improve, in my opinion. And maybe that's a bit harsh, but that's how I felt.
The way I looked at them is they tried doing exactly what they did last year. Same plays, but teams worked them out, is what I think went wrong. Teams worked out what Sean Johnson did, set plays they had, and they just couldn't get through this time.
Yeah.
Because I think I saw in Bloke in a Bar, they had the most play the balls in their 20.
Yeah.
So they were down their end of the field more than any other team.
And just couldn't convert.
And I think they said there was about 6 games which they lost by less than 4 points.
Yeah, wow.
So you look at the Warriors, like, they weren't overly, like, you don't look at them as like, oh, they were terrible this year. Like, they weren't terrible. They were in most of their games.
Yeah.
There was some games where I was so unlucky. Like, the Sharks won in round 1. The Storm won that they should have won.
Yeah. Yeah, literally.
There's a few games that they should have won, but they didn't.
Even that draw
Yeah, the draw, they get to win 3 or 4 of those games. They push up to like 9.
They lost to the Titans by 3.
Yeah, I just look, there's a lot of games where they just, I feel like they weren't as bad as where their ladder position shows them to be.
Especially like at Magic Round, they beat the Panthers.
Yeah.
And then that's when it was, yeah. And it was like, the Warriors, they should go on a run from this. And then they won 2 more, and then it's just
13th. I think they were better than 13th. I don't think they were as bad as the ladders make.
I think it's worth acknowledging how competitive it was this year as well.
They didn't have a terrible for against for 13th, but just, for what they had last year,
it was disappointing.
Why they've fallen off.
What ladder? What are we looking at here? Hang on, I'm just trying to get the final ladder up.
They had -60.
So they finished on 20. So they finished 3 points behind 12th. So they were very much 13th. Yeah. But it's just...
They didn't have... you can go look through some of their results. They didn't get flogged. Man, there was one game where which I'll go into.
Which we just talked about that.
They lost to the Titans 66-60, which was just...
Was that the worst moment of the season for them?
You'd think so.
Has to be.
Titans' biggest win of all time. That was just dreadful.
And that was at home.
I watched the first half of that game. I think it was 30-0 at half time.
Yeah.
And I was in the car on the way to the South game. I just what am I trying to say? Kept checking the score.
Yeah.
And every time I checked, the Titans had scored another try. And I was like, what is going on here? But the highlight has to be Magic Round.
Yeah.
Beating the Panthers.
I'd say if not that, then it'd be the final game against the Sharks.
Johnson's, yeah.
Yeah, but definitely, I don't want you to... You almost have to say the Panthers Magic Round game because that was such a huge win. But then at the same time, it didn't really do what it needed to. It didn't really boost them and give them momentum for the season. That's where I'm like...
And they won a lot more games without Sean Johnson as well, I must say.
Yeah, they did. They seem to play a little bit better without him sometimes, but...
I still think they're in a good position going into the future. I don't think they're in for a major, down. I don't think they're wooden spoon contenders. I feel like they could fight their way back up there next year.
I don't see improvement in that roster. In fact, I think the roster's gone backwards. They lose Sean Johnson.
They lose Adam Fanua-Blake as well.
They do gain...
Fisher
Harris, that's sort of like for like, but they do lose Fanua-Blake, so that sort of disrupts combinations.
And then they lose
Sean Johnson.
Will it be Harris Tavita?
Or will it be Tiamato Martin? Because it'll be Metcalf.
And they got Jet Cleary there, but I don't...
He won't be playing next year. Not yet.
I'm worried for Jet Cleary, though. I don't think I've said this. I just feel like if Nathan Cleary's brother, he's going to get such comparisons coming through. Everyone's going to expect him to be this awesome player.
The Clearys, Ivan and Nathan went on Mark Boris's podcast, and Ivan said the reason he's gone to I think maybe Nathan said the reason he's gone to New Zealand, as in Jet, is to get out of the media pressure and the comparison
I feel like that's
to
the worry that's going to be with him. He's going to have such expectation on him being Nathan Cleary's brother.
And that's why he's gone over there, because there already is that huge expectation on him.
People need to lay off and say he's not Nathan Cleary. He might be his brother, but he's not him. So
he's Jet.
Yeah, he's Jet Cleary.
Great name.
Totally different person.
That's a scary
It's not like
name.
the Morris twins who are just as good as each other, though.
Literally, bro. If Jet Cleary is if the Clearys are like the Morris brothers, then that is scary, because the Morris brothers were literally
the Stewart brothers were different positions though, but
even
guns.
I was going to say Burgess to a degree, they were pretty good.
They were all
maybe not Sam, but the twins.
Yeah, the twins. Yeah, the twins were identical. Sometimes when they were playing, I just couldn't even tell which was which.
The Couchmans.
Yeah, even Ray Warren couldn't tell which was which.
Yeah.
George Burgess. Oh no, sorry, it's Tom.
It's Tom. Back on the Warriors. Where are we grading them, and where do you see them coming next year?
I think a D again. D plus.
Yeah.
D actually, not D plus. I think they did take a backward step.
I'm gonna go
as far as saying F, because I think I did. See
I'll go a D plus. I'm not going anything lower than a D.
But
they were all right.
Where do you predict them next year?
I have them bottom 4.
Really?
I have them bottom 4.
I don't know. I'm really. I have them 9th to 12th.
Yeah. Okay.
In that range.
I think they're going to go backwards, and I think there's enough improvement in other rosters.
Yeah,
I can see Tigers finishing above Warriors.
It's disappointing though. We had such high hopes.
I know, but sorry, Warriors fans.
Yeah. Anyway, next up.
It is the Broncos.
Oh, dear.
Oof. Another team that sacked their coach.
Yeah.
Plenty of coaches sacked this year.
Not until the year was over.
Yeah, not until the year was over. So they finished 12th after being in the grand final last year. They won 10 games.
We didn't do
lost
player
14.
of the year for the Warriors.
That is correct.
Absolute bad.
Who Who would you give
Adam
it to?
Blake, I'd give it to.
Yeah, no, same. That's valid. Or Mitch Barnett. You know what? Screw it. I'm going to give it to Mitch Barnett.
That's a very good choice.
Uncle
I don't know
Mitch
why
from
I didn't
across
think
the
of him.
ditch. All right, Broncos. Shout out to Mitch Barnett. He's in the Aussie side too.
Yeah.
Good on him. He's a good player. You love Mitch Barnett.
I do love Mitch
I can't believe you didn't give it to him.
Yeah, I can't believe I forgot about him.
Broncos, 10 wins, 14 losses. They came 12th. A shocking season, resulting in their coach being sacked.
Start of the year wasn't dreadful, but as the year went on, it slowly just got worse. I think they lost 6 in a row at one point.
Yeah.
And then I think end of the year, I think they just gave up, really.
That's what it looked like.
Yeah.
Even though Kevin Walters was saying they were going to be playing finals, there was no if. They're playing finals. Well, they didn't.
Yeah, we haven't really discussed the Kevin Walters sacking on this.
Yeah,
I think it was a very overdramatic decision by the Broncos to do that.
It was very random. It
was
just happened randomly.
They went up since he got there. On the day he arrived, at his first day as coach, fans had thrown wooden spoons on the field.
Yeah.
That was his very first day.
Yeah.
And then you look at where he got them to. And I know they fell off this year, but they did have excuses. Walsh missed a lot. Reynolds missed most of the year. I feel like they should have given him most next year.
Yeah.
And we've seen this with the Broncos in the past. Whenever they have a bad year, they do not hesitate in getting rid of a coach.
And I think that's what the Broncos are, though. Obviously, they're a big club. They come from success. They expect success. They're not settling for making the finals.
Been a major top line club since 2006. And what happened after that? 2007, the Titans came in. And that meant there was more than one team in that southeast Queensland area.
Yeah.
They have not won a comp since the Titans have been in.
Yeah.
Now they got the Dolphins there.
Yeah.
There's 2 teams that have now taken players that used to be theirs.
Yeah.
So
true.
I don't think they're as major a club as what they make out.
I mean historically, and then money and stuff. They are, but that is a fair point.
15 years,
but
though,
that is fair.
Been.
That's actually I'm not going to argue with that at all because that is a very fair comment.
I reckon if the Titans weren't in the competition, they'd have a lot of Titans players.
Yeah, you're 100% correct.
Now.
That is literally that's Zane. Honestly, that is one of the greatest points you've ever raised on this podcast. That is so accurate. Well, you're correct.
Yeah, and now that the Dolphins are there, they have those 2 clubs have literally nerfed the Broncos, and I know people underestimate how powerful the Titans have actually been.
In that sense,
to Queensland,
100%. It has spread the talent out a little bit, and the Broncos have, felt the wrath of it. But I think historically, the Broncos expect success. It's similar to the Bulldogs.
Yeah, and they were so good last year.
Yeah, and then to come of that, and then it was a failure of a season, and under Kevin Walters, they've made finals once.
And they have now gone out and got Madge Maguire, which I like.
I think it's weird.
I like it as a coach. I think he's the perfect person.
I think it's weird that they've got a New South Wales guy.
Well, how is that weird though?
It's just because it's such a Queensland club.
I know, but Glenn Lazarus played for Broncos. He was the captain. Adam Reynolds is a New South Welshman. He's the captain.
But because it was the New South Wales coach.
I know that is funny. But it's just
my issue isn't Madge being from New South Wales. It's the fact that they got the New South Wales coach.
Yeah, no, New South Welshman to the rescue.
Yeah,
I just think with this playing group, what they need, I think Madge is the perfect.
Yeah, I agree.
And the thing is, I know some of the old boys aren't very happy with that, but they got Kevin Walters the job.
Yeah,
but that's what I actually hope the Broncos do well now.
Just despite the non-coffee drinking.
I don't like the Broncos really. I don't ever want them, but I actually do now.
It would be funny to see Gordon Tallis with egg on his face.
Yeah, well, Gordon Tallis has stated a million times he got nothing to do with the Broncos. He's a Titan. So if you don't care about what's going on, why do you keep commenting on it, Gordon? You're very passionate with the way you speak.
Doesn't drink coffee though.
Yeah.
Doesn't drink coffee.
Except when he's with James Graham.
Except for when he's with James Graham on the buy-around. He got exposed. But back on the Broncos and the 2024 season, let's just put Kevin Walters aside. What do we think of the Broncos as a whole?
It started up here and then it just went that. That's literally how it went.
Yeah.
The most downward spiral I've
ever seen. Won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 from their first 8.
Yes.
So they were
and then Magic Round League had the 1 point.
Yeah.
And then they lost 5 in a row, I think. Maybe more.
They lost a lot after Magic Round. They only won 3 games after Magic Round.
Then they had a win against the Cowboys.
Yep.
Then the next week is when the Titans flogged them, and I think who'd they beat after that? They beat Parramatta when they were down 16-0.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think Dolphins flogged
them and then Storm
flogged them. By that point, though, I think after that Dolphins, I think they'd just given up. I think after the Titans game, really, they'd just given up on the year.
Yeah, I think so. Even after the Bulldogs game.
Yeah, that Bulldogs game was bad.
If you want to talk best moment and worst moment for the Broncos, the worst moment, and maybe it's biased, because it's either the Bulldogs or the Titans game. I think it's the Bulldogs game, because that one came first. And I think the Titans game was a result of the Bulldogs game where it really
I
sucked the
just
life
remember
out
that
of
Titans
them.
game. Up at halftime, Reece Walsh is like, "Oh, we rectified everything we did wrong last week." I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, no, you didn't actually, Reece. Don't speak too soon."
Yeah, the Bulldogs are not like the Bulldogs don't score 40 points ever.
that
Zane.
was
And we scored
such a-
41
the Broncos
points.
are dreadful
And
that
we
game.
tore them apart.
You did.
And like we had a pretty good season, but we didn't have a season that wasn't happening every week. We were not tearing teams apart every week. And not even that much. It happened a couple times, but like the Broncos were just particularly bad. They just looked lost. They were just out of it. And I feel like that was the moment this year where the life was sucked out of them and the season sort of fizzled.
And
because then the next week they rock up and get flogged by the Titans, and it's just like that was it.
Yeah, they were terrible at the end of the year.
Yeah.
They just had no effort at all in their game. They were just, and there was players who had standout years last year, like Jordan Ricky. He was terrible this year. Ezra Mam had a very quiet year.
Yeah.
Walsh, when he was playing, he wasn't as inspirational. Like I know the commentators made out he was, but he really wasn't.
Walsh.
Yeah, like when you watch him closely, like he really wasn't as involved.
No, he wasn't.
Adam Reynolds, I thought, was okay when he was there, but he didn't really get much of an opportunity to prove himself.
Yeah. What would you say the best moment this season was?
They had a really good win. I'm trying to remember. Get that draw up. There was one game earlier, and there was a game where they flogged the Cowboys. Where's that one?
They flogged the Cowboys in the back end 42-18.
They won a magic round. I'd probably say
they beat Cowboys 38-12 in round 4.
Yeah, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had a really good... I'd say the Manly win, magic round.
Yeah.
Probably their most memorable.
And that's another pinpoint moment where it's like, after that, it collapsed.
Yeah.
I don't know what happened at magic round.
Well, they lost their players by that point.
Yeah.
Like Walsh got knocked out and
they
just had injuries. But who's their player
Adam
of the year,
Reynolds.
you reckon?
I'm not saying he was player of the year. That was the big injury, was Adam Reynolds. Player of the year?
I'll say Payne Haas. No, Carrigan.
I'm tossing up between Carrigan or Haas. I'll just go either.
Yeah.
It's a tie.
Yeah. And next year.
You
know where I've got them? I've got them top 4.
Really?
Yeah, we will get into it a bit more now.
Because of Madge.
Preview. Not just that. Madge, yes, but I just feel like this is a year they're really going to redeem themselves.
Interesting. I think it is worth noting while we're talking about the Broncos, this is a good chance for me to bring it up on the podcast. Where did you predict them to come this year, Zane?
I had them third. No, second.
Second?
I had South third, Broncos second.
Do you remember where I had the Broncos?
You had them missing the 8.
I had the Broncos missing the 8.
You nailed
I was the only person on the whole planet. And why did I say? I said Adam Reynolds could get injured, and if he did, they would miss the 8. And what happened? Adam Reynolds got injured, and they missed the 8. I called it. That's the only smart thing I've ever said in my whole life, and I'm holding on to it because that was actually crazy.
A great prediction.
Thank you. So you got them not even top 8, top 4.
Like 4th, I reckon.
There you go. I'm gonna get. I've got them either just inside
risk,
or just outside the 8.
It's a risk, but I just feel like the new voice there is what they need.
Interesting.
It's not like a new voice. It's a very stern sort of voice that's going to make you focus.
I think they'll improve, but I don't think they'll improve.
It's more a
enough.
hope thing as well. I actually hope they finish top 4.
Just
With
to
some of the
rub
stuff
into
that's come
glory.
out lately, I really hope they have a good year.
Surely they get like a coffee jersey, like get a jersey with just a coffee cup on the front. Or
Madge
get
can do
sponsored
that.
by some coffee. I don't know. Surely Madge can play into that a little bit. What would you grade their year?
F. I'm saying F.
Yeah, I mean that's
absolutely nah. Where they were last year, grand final, just complete failure. To fall off the way they did.
I'll go an F plus.
F plus.
Just above an F.
Well, I'm sticking it with an F. However, next up is their little brother, or should I say big brother this year?
Ooh.
Already.
Wait, no, that's not who's next.
Do you know who won the Queensland derbies? Because Queensland do a competition where all the Queensland derbies, all their scores add up. Do you know who won it?
Who?
The Titans did.
Really?
Yeah, they won the most Queensland derbies.
Good on them.
Yeah, they beat all 3.
Oh, so they go on every time there's a Queensland derby, whoever wins the most Queensland derbies.
I forgot what it's called. Hainsey was telling me.
The Forex Cup.
Yeah, the Forex Cup. Yeah,
Also,
Titans
whatever.
won 4.
Forex Shield, I think.
They beat all the top sides. I think Dolphins came second, Broncos third, and Cowboys fourth. I'm pretty sure that's how that went.
There you go.
But yeah, we're talking about the Dolphins though.
Is that who we're up to? Oh, I'm looking at the round 26 ladder. Whoops.
It's Dolphins.
Yeah,
No,
Dragons.
it's not. It's how could I forget?
Come on, mate. We're not skipping the
how
locals.
How could I forget? Not doing the Big Brother yet.
All right, Dragons. Let's talk Dragons. So they came, to be fair, they came second last year. They then came 11th this year. They went 11 wins, 13 losses, so just under 50%. They missed the 8 by, 3 positions. They were in the race for the 8, massively, but at the end of the season, they lost 3 in a row. If they just won one of those games, they're probably in the 8. So
I said before, I'm like...
They were 1 win outside the 8.
I said before the Titans were the most inconsistent team in the competition. I think the Dragons are tied with them as well.
Well, let's have a look at this then.
The definition of inconsistency.
Let me just read something out from you. This is round 14 through to round 25. Win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss. So if that's not the definition of inconsistency, my name's Mickey Mouse, because that is as inconsistent as it gets. Literally win,
and they
loss,
weren't like,
win, loss,
they
win,
weren't like
loss.
close losses. They get flogged and then get a good win. Like, where's the period they get flogged by Penrith?
Mm-hmm.
They beat the Storm and then let the Dogs flog them. Like, how can you beat the Storm and then lose like that? I just don't understand how that sort of thing can happen.
Yeah.
And then get flogged the next week.
So they beat the Broncos before the Broncos fell off. Then they got flogged by the Panthers. Then they went down to Melbourne and beat Melbourne for the first time in 25 years. And then they come back at home and lose to the Bulldogs, like get flogged by the Bulldogs. And then they go and beat the Titans. And then they come out and get flogged by the Sharks.
Yeah, and then they get flogged by the Eagles after that. Like, it's just, I don't...
Well, hey, they lost to the Eagles by 4.
Well, but...
After being down about 44-0.
Again, that's another game where the scoreboard was misleading.
Yeah, 100%. But it's a weird season for the Dragons because it's hard to judge because they improved, but it wasn't that good of a year either.
Yeah, but look at round 1 and 2. They flogged the Titans because everyone was so high on them. Like, what a win. They look good and they lose 38-0 next week.
Yeah, literally. They went, it's just W's and L's, W's and L's. It's just...
Like, and, they had a lot of player movement. I think there's players who weren't happy there as well.
Well, obviously, you've had the ongoing Ben Hunt situation, the Zach Lomax situation.
The year before, Ben Hunt openly, publicly said he does not want to play at the Dragons.
Yeah.
And he's the captain of the club. Like, he should have been moved on then, I think.
Yeah.
But the Dragons are just like, no, our precious boy, we can't let him go. So I think they're finally starting to
They're
buy
accepting
They're like,
it.
nah, this needs to happen. Like,
yeah.
And Lomax one as well. That's the right move for the club. I don't think player-wise, I think he's a great player, but I think off-field, I think it's the right move to move on to Zach Lomax.
Yeah. It's just... I feel like they've made some good signings. I think Cook's a great signing.
Holmes.
I think Holmes is a great signing.
Who else did they sign?
If they can get a Clint Gutherson, that'll be a great signing. And they've lost... obviously, the Lomax. They lost Jack Bird. They've lost Fige, Max, or Funga I think Fige. But it's... I don't know if I'd say it's an improved roster, but it's definitely not a roster that's got worse. If Ben Hunt leaves, then I'm like, okay, it's a worse roster.
Damien Cook's going there. That's going to be weird seeing him at the Dragons. Like, he's just been at South for so long. I just can't imagine him in that jersey. Like, I keep trying to visually see him in a Dragons jersey.
He's played there before.
Yeah, but he's played like 2 games. But just look at like him now. I just cannot imagine him in a Dragons jersey.
I can.
It's just going to look weird.
But yeah, what would you say the highlight of the year was? It's got to be Storm
win.
It's got to be.
Or the
in
Titans win was a good one. There was the Tigers win was a good one.
Yeah, they flogged the Tigers actually 56-14 at home. I think Zach Lomax broke the single player point scoring record that game at the club, so that was a great game. What would you say? What would you say the low light was? It's got to be the back end.
The Dolphins lost. The Bulldogs lost.
Yeah.
The first Bulldogs lost. I'm talking about a core.
Yeah. That Indigenous round. Oh, Ands. Oh, boy, they had some bad losses, didn't they? Yeah. Oh, they beat Panthers in Penrith as well.
Exactly. They did as
They beat the grand finalists away. And then...
It's such a weird year.
A very weird year. What are we grading them? Wait, before we grade them, I have some information from a pretty reliable, a pretty not necessarily reliable, but a notable source has told me to pass this information on when we're talking Dragons. Lucas, I'm sure you've heard of Lucas.
Yeah.
He said that it was a failure of a year, and it can't be considered good.
I wouldn't go that. I'm not giving them an F. I'm giving them a C+.
Did you watch Bloke in a Bar talk about the Dragons?
Yes, and they, I think, were pretty.
They were pretty optimistic because that's where Lucas. Shout out to him. He was tearing Bloke in a Bar apart, saying that's a failure of a year because they didn't get the 50%.
They won 5 games last year and they won 11 this year. So they won. Well, I don't know exact numbers, like 7 more maybe than what they did last year.
That was roughly good math.
Yeah.
So 6. They won 6 more games.
They improved.
They did
were
improve.
A lot better. I'm not giving them an F because they did improve. So I'm saying C+.
C+?
Yeah. C+, I'm saying. Because they're showing signs, but What are you giving them, actually?
I'm going to give them just a C.
A C, yeah.
I'll give them a C.
Where do we think they'll finish next year? Like, I see people saying they're going to finally make that push for the 8. I don't. I'm saying 9th to 12th.
It's hard to judge because the whole Ben Hunt situation happening right now. Now, at the moment, he's been told he can negotiate for 2026. There's a chance he just gets let off early.
He's 35.
If
is anyone going to sign him then?
Oh,
26, like
I'd take him.
I
could sit here and do a whole podcast on why I want Ben Hunt at the Bulldogs, but we're not going to do that today. Maybe next week. I think if Ben Hunt stays there, I think they 9th to 12th. I agree. I think if they lose Ben Hunt, bottom 4.
Oh, that's a
who? Well, we're going Kyle Flanagan and Kyle
Kintonga. Lomax
and
killed
bro, their two best players, like this year, Ben Hunt and Zach Lomax, and they've lost both of them.
Yeah, that's bold though. Bottom 4.
If Ben Hunt leaves, I don't think that's that bold. I'm saying if they lose Ben Hunt, then bottom 4. Not with Ben Hunt, but without him. They've lost Zach. Who are their halves next year if they lose Ben Hunt? Yeah. It's obviously Kyle Flanagan, and Kyle Flanagan had a great year this year. Yeah. He had a very good year.
He needs someone big around him. Like, who are they going to put in? Are they going to swap with Sexton?
I don't.
They want to swap with
Sexton's,
Addo-Carr, actually.
Sexton's contracted. Sexton's not going anywhere.
Addo-Carr's the other guy.
He's not playing in the halves.
No, no, but he's the other guy they were talking about signing.
Jack Bird's not playing in the halves. He's gone.
Do you put Sloan there, or
you can't? And then
I think that's why they want to get Guffo.
The guy who had a good season when he was filling in, Jesse Marshkin.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure he's gone as well.
My thing is, I'm pretty sure they're trying to get Guffo as a half.
Yeah.
Kyle Flanagan halfback, Guffo 5'8".
I don't think that would work that well.
That's what I think.
I don't think that suits each other.
Their plan is though.
Yeah, I'm going if they lose Ben Hunt, bottom 4. If they keep him, 9th to 12th, just outside the 8. We graded them, we ranked them. Let's go to the Dolphins. Obviously, shout out to Wayne Bennett. We've already talked about one of the sides he coached this year, the Souths. This is the other side he coached on the side, the Dolphins. We've got the Dolphins. They came 10th. They also won 11 games and lost 13. They were also a team that was very close to making that. They were actually in the 8 for so long.
They should have made the 8. They were top 4 for a large chunk of the season.
It was the same story as last year where just at the back end, lack of depth, they fell off. But yeah, what did you make of it? And the signing of Tavita. What did you make of the Dolphins?
I was very impressed with them. And I was really disappointed they didn't make the 8.
Yeah.
I think they deserve to be there over the Knights, which, end of the day, Knights did better. Congratulations to them. We'll talk about them next week. But I thought the Dolphins, when they were good, they were really good.
Yeah.
When they were bad, they were really bad.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty good summary. I feel like it was a weird season for them as well. Similar to the Dragons, to be honest. Just
and you look at their side on paper, it's not a very good side, but they just had such a good coach there.
Yeah.
That's what I think, and that's why I'm worried for him going into next year. First of all, Wayne Bennett curse is one.
Yep.
And second of all, I just don't think their side's that good in general.
Yeah, I agree.
You cannot tell me that Hammer's good, but you go Nikorima and Sullivan. No, not Sullivan. Katoa in the halves. That's just not a very good halves.
And they also just completely mixed up the halves to end the year.
Yeah.
As well, Katoa got dropped.
Yeah, O'Sullivan came in.
It's it's Wayne Bennett. He's on his way out. He's going, all right, let's just completely ruin the confidence of this young halfback.
Yeah.
And it's I've
Bennett,
got concerns. I've got concerns because of the Wayne Bennett curse. I think if you look at a lot of the other sides next year, I don't think the Dolphins are improving as much as other teams are. I think the Dolphins...
I think this was their shot this year, and I think they're going to go down next year.
I think if you look at the fact they've lost Wayne Bennett, and then the roster hasn't really improved, maybe slightly,
they've got Saifidi going.
And that's really... there are other sides. Fina Fuiaki, but... It's just, especially depth-wise, they're not gaining depth, and that's what their issue is.
Bromwich have moved on, haven't they?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
It's just, I think I don't know if I'm concerned, but I'm a little bit worried. But let's focus on 2024 first, and then we'll get into looking to next year. What was the best moment of their season?
That Sharks game was really good. That Dragons game was really good.
Yeah, early.
Beating the Broncos at the end of the year, that was really good.
I was going to say, you sort of said it before, but the fact that they did... No, you said Titans won the Queensland Derby thing, but I think the fact that outside of the Cowboys, the Dolphins were the second highest ranked Queensland team in their second year, and winning the Brisbane Derby basically at the end of the season, but then they lost to the Knights. But before the second last week, they beat the Broncos. I think that was probably the highlight. They didn't really have any huge wins, did they? Outside of the Dragons one early in the season,
and the Broncos win.
and then the Broncos. So I'd say the Broncos Brisbane derby was probably the highlight. What do you reckon the
Worst
low
loss
light
the week
was?
before. The Storm lost.
Yeah.
Or there was that bad Cowboys game they played in round 1.
Yeah, but I was willing to ignore, games early in
Yeah.
the year because it's like.
Or the final game of the year.
I was about to say, yeah,
disappointing.
when
that
the season
there.
was on the line, that is probably the most disappointing loss. Or the low light of the season was if they win that game, they're in 8th. And they didn't
I think
win
if they finished 8th, they would have beat the Cowboys that first week. I honestly do.
Yeah. I don't know if I'd go that far, but they would have given them a crack. I think they deserve to be in the top 8 this year.
Yeah,
But they just,
I think they did as well.
But
we say that every year. The team that finishes 9th for us, they deserved to be there though, didn't they?
What would you grade them?
You know what? I'm going to say a B.
A B?
I'm saying a B. I think for a side in their second year, they did very well.
I'm just going to go a C.
Oh, I thought they were better than a C. I thought they were pretty good for most of
They
the
came 10th. That's I'm not giving them anything
So I'll go
more
B
than a
minus
C.
then. You've talked me into that.
That's they came 10th. And they should have made... The fact is, you can look and go, oh, they should have made the 8, so it's good. But it's also, they fell out of the 8 dramatically. And I'm concerned for them next year. Where do you see them coming next year?
I've got them bottom 4 next year.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah,
I think they fall off.
Yeah. I just think the Wayne Bennett effect, no more of his magical drinks.
Yeah, no more magic dust.
It's their halves that worry me.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're going to be as electric without Wayne Bennett there.
I agree. 100%. I agree completely. Let's go to the final team of today before we do the top 8 next week. The Canberra Raiders. The Milk.
A side that I thought would be in contention for the spoon.
Yeah, so did I.
On paper, they should have been. But I just think Ricky Stewart knows exactly what he's doing at that club.
So last year they came 8th and this year they came 9th, obviously. They went 12-12. So they lost one less game than last year. So very similar to last year, really. They conceded less points and scored only 12 less. So their for and against improved. They won one less game and they dropped one position on the ladder. So nearly an identical season. Nearly, but didn't make the 8.
You look at that side on paper, they should not have gone as good as they did.
Yeah.
Now, what I respect with Ricky Stewart is that he's so honest about everything. He knows they're not going to win a premiership. He knows they're not in contention for one.
Yeah.
And he's openly, publicly said it.
Yeah.
Which, clubs, I don't think would appreciate a coach saying, yeah, we're not winning the comp. But he knows they're building and he knows they're a young side.
Yeah.
And that's why he's just, for what he did with the side he's got is outstanding, I think.
Yeah.
Such a grinding team. They'll either grind in a very tight win or they just get flogged.
Yeah.
That's how it went, Couldn't get the team in a grind.
It was very Raiders rugby league, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Their wins. And it was, as you just said, it was a story of the season where every week they tried to get a team into a grind. And if they couldn't get him into a grind, a lot of the time they were getting, there was a few games they got towed up because of the style of footy they were playing. They lost to the Sharks 40-0. They lost to the Broncos 34-10. They lost to Manly 46-24. They had these big losses because their style of footy was, we'll try and get you in a grind, and if we don't, then we're probably going to get towed up. And it worked a lot of the time. The wins, it worked, but it was just a big first season.
They lost Jack Wyden. They lost Jared Croker. They're two heartbeats of that.
I had them falling off huge.
So
I had
did
them spoon contenders.
I did as well. I'm that side, I cannot see them making finals.
Yeah. On paper, I didn't think it was that good of a side. So I think they overachieved. And if you look at it compared to last year, obviously it was the same. It was slightly worse, but
look at some of their wins they got. That Roosters one was so grindy. That Panthers one the week before was great. Then they beat the Bulldogs Magic Round. They flogged South. They had some pretty good wins. They flogged the Eels as well.
We do need to slightly rewind. We missed more player of the years. Dragons and Dolphins.
Dolphins, I'm saying, is Hammer.
Yeah, I agree.
For Dragons, I'm saying Lomax.
Yep, I agree.
Yeah,
perfect. Okay. I just realised we missed that.
Yeah,
and you jumped in when we were doing Broncos and Rewinders. So I was like, I better do the same. But back on the Raiders. Sorry. Well, anything? What was the highlight of the year?
I think the highlight has to be beating the Roosters.
Yeah, that was a big win.
That was such a good game as well. All the Bulldogs got chip and chase.
Yeah, against they won their last 3 games. Even they just low key deserved to be 8th.
Yeah,
they just battled.
But they also had, I think the week before they got 40 put past them by the Cowboys. It was a bad loss. That's bad losses in there, but
it was
that's just how the Raiders have been last few years.
What would you say the worst loss or the worst moment of the season was? What would you say?
The Cowboys loss.
Oh, we just said that, didn't we? Yeah. I'd say Like they lost to the
It
Cowboys
was like 40
twice
to 4,
by
wasn't it?
heaps. Yeah. Yeah, it was. It was
Yeah.
42 to 4. And then there were so many times that they
34 to 16 was
conceded
the other
40.
loss
I'm just
they had
looking
to
at
the
it.
Cowboys.
Yeah. So I guess, like as we said, it was just sort of the style of footy they were playing though,
Yeah.
where if they couldn't get a team in the grind, they just get trampled.
Yeah.
So it was, I know, it was very Ricky Stewart. What would we
The Raiders
grade
player
them?
of the year.
Oh yeah, let's do player of the
My
year.
player of the year for the Raiders is going to be Ethan Strange,
Yeah,
which is a
Yeah.
smoky to some people, but
that's fair. Did
Rapana.
he win Rookie of the Year?
Probably no.
Oh no, Bostock won it.
Did.
I'd go for player of the year, Tarpanay.
Yeah, or
Joey.
Hudson Young is a smoky.
Oh,
as well.
yeah?
I'm going
Yep.
Ethan Strange. I'm going to stick with it.
Bit of a mix. And then what are we going to grade them?
I'm saying a B again.
A
B.
B.
I'm going B plus.
B plus?
Like, what I expected of them.
Yeah, that's fair.
They did outstanding for what you'd think they would have.
I'm going to give them a C.
I see.
Actually, I'll go a C plus.
Yeah,
I'll go a
okay.
C plus for what they
There's more
overachieved.
positives than they did.
They overachieved,
For
in
next
my
year,
opinion.
My prediction, I'm not predicting them to go down
Mm.
because I just guarantee you they won't. I think they should, but I don't think they will. I've literally got them 7th to 10th.
Yeah, okay.
Same spot again, just right in the middle.
I've got them pushing for the 8.
You do.
I feel like they're just
Right in the middle.
in the middle, maybe
As per
like
usual.
eighth
Like
to
they're
10th.
they're always in the middle.
Yeah.
Never any higher or any lower.
Yeah, they very much are just always in the middle. Let's go into the. Oh, that was the
That
last
is
team for
it.
today.
That
I was
is
ready
our-
to keep going. Goodness me.
Yeah, we got the good sides next week, so it'll be more positive talk. It was a very
Yeah.
negative podcast, this one.
I didn't
Just
even
bagging
give
teams
out a single B today, so hopefully a couple Bs next week. But yeah, that is our not preseason,
Yeah.
post-season review part 1.
Part one.
Give me
One over
Zane.
two.
I'm going to throw you under the bus. Give me a quick tip for this weekend: Australia versus Tonga.
You'd think Australia win.
Surely.
I mean, Tonga beat them, but
Last time they played, Tonga won.
Yeah, I know, but you'd think Australia win.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going Australia 13 plus. Like,
Wow.
It's not.
I've got Australia 1 to 12. Matty Burden.
Okay.
You'll carry him. All right, come back next week for part 2 of the season review. You get to talk doggies next week.
Yes. we
Zane
do.
might not even turn up because he doesn't want to hear my Bulldogs yet, but we're talking doggies next week. Let's
And we're also
try-
talking Roosters, which I'm looking forward to.
Maybe we just skip that.
Yeah.
All right, let's trot, baby. Not meant to say that.